j'entrais dans ta cave. À ce que je suis condamné pour la balance de ma vie, mal la prison. Ma chair et mon nom à ça, mise des genoux, et demain c'est la tête. Pleurant pour moi, elle dit hey, petit garçon, on va jamais être roi. Toi t'étais condamné pour la balance de ta vie, mal la prison. That's why I was condemned for the rest of my days to the penitentiary. My poor old mama, she was down on her knees with both hands on her head, saying, oh God, please. She said, oh, hey, my little boy, I never see you again, 'cause you was condemned for the rest of your days to the penitentiary. I say, hey, Mom, don't cry for me, pray for your child, save his soul from the flames of hell, the flames of hell. So a lot of this music, though, if you don't know about South Louisiana history, our people, the French came and settled South Louisiana many, many moons ago. And They were down there toward New Orleans, even up toward Natchitoches, Opelousas Post, and Attakapaw Post, which is not far from my house. These were all settled in the late, well, very early 1700s. But a lot of our people, when you hear the word Cajun, our people came from eastern Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Prince Edward, and all that area. That was called Acadiana in Canada. We were there from 1604, I believe, to 1755. 1755 is when the English came through, got in a big fight with the French. But the Acadian people that were living there didn't consider themselves French any more than anybody here would maybe consider yourself British or Scottish or Czech or whatever, nationality you descend from.
Czech!
Wait, all right. So they were all, the point is they'd all been there for multiple generations. They just considered themselves Acadians, right? So they kind of were neutral in the fight. They weren't really trying to play with all that mess. But the English ended up beating out the French for the land, and they asked the Acadians to swear loyalty to the crown, which they didn't give a shit. They were like, yeah, sure, whatever. But you couldn't be Catholic. You had to switch off of that. And I don't know if you met a bunch of old school Catholics, but that ain't gonna fly. So, Catholic! So the British ended up having to round everybody up, separate families, burn their houses, burn the churches, kill the children, do whatever they had to do, throw everybody on some slave ships, prison ships, boat them and send them down the East Coast, send some back to France, send some to Saint-Domingue, and they left them there. They were just exiles of the land. But at that time, Spain owned what was known as the Louisiana Territory, the central U.S. And the Spanish looked at it and they were like, hold on. These cats know how to farm some cows. And they Catholic. Have we got a deal for you? See, everything west of New Orleans is all Attakapaw territory. And then people are real happy to bash in the head of anybody who is not one of them. The capital of Louisiana is named Baton Rouge, which means red stick, and that comes from a big stick that was in the area where they would tie up all these colonial people, and they bashed their head against the stick, and it was painted with blood, so it was called Baton Rouge, the red stick. So obviously the crown was like, hey, I'm not sending my little royal people over here, but these exiled people, we got some land. But what they didn't realize is the French coming out of Acadie was a lot of Métis people already. A lot of them had bred with the Mi'kmaq. A lot of them was already part native. And the French had a very different view of settling a territory with indigenous peoples on it. They looked at it more as, you already know how to survive here. And your women are cute, so maybe we should just get married. And they did a lot of that. So it kind of worked out in their favor. Now, at the same time, you had Spanish people who were making settlements because of the Spanish territory at the time. And then you had free people of color coming out of New Orleans. So whether people had bought their freedom or they were the product of a Creole marriage or
let's just get to the point. It was downright colonial rape. The marriage stuff was sometimes like back in the woods and you had no one to intervene. But for the most part, they raped them. That's how everyone became mixed.
This is very not true.
That's that. You cannot get past that, bro.
So there were obviously cases of rape, because this is just
when you own another human being, you fuck them. That's just that. You can preach, but you can't teach, bro.
But there was always, especially in our area, in our families, my family specifically.
That's personal.
Lands and titles handed down because these families were intermarried. Anyhow, so you had free people of color, you had Spanish, you had Native, you had French, you had all these people coming together. And later you ended up having a German influx that came into what area we now call the German coast. Those Germans brought with them accordions that came around the turn of the century. Prior to that, you had drums, you had fiddles, and that was pretty much it. So the accordion came through, and this was a loud instrument because this is in the days before amplification. If you was playing a big dance, people was way over there. You can't really hear a fiddle too much. A fiddle's not a real loud instrument. So they were real fascinated with this accordion. So around the turn of the century, a little man named Mr. Amadé Jourdan.
Little black man.
Little black man, correct. Little black man named Mr. Amadé Jourdan. Okay, go ahead. Tell us.
So the accordions were actually coming out of San Antonio, Texas, is where they were coming from, to Louisiana. And most people back in them days, they used German Hohner reeds until what happened was Germany was being attacked or whatever during the Second World War. So they started getting Italian reeds and getting Benji reeds and stuff like that. The Germans that brought the accordion to Louisiana were actually coming from Texas. This is just a fact. So the accordion was made popular among Louisiana people by a little black man named Amadé. For the most part, the white people played fiddles, even though blacks and whites played fiddles always the way it's been.
Yeah.
But what made this popular style, this poppy style, would be Amadé Jourdan, people of his around him, like his dad. So what happens is one day Amadé, he's popular, playing all around, solo with other musicians, everything you can think of. It's very popular for playing with a Cajun musician, a white guy named Dennis McGee. But that don't mean nothing in the long case, because what happened is, playing these gigs with Dennis McGee, he got killed. A white woman came and wiped his face with a rag, and at the end of the whole thing, he was walking home, and they like jumped him and ran over his neck with a truck and beat his hands and shit like this. This is just a real story of what happened. So when he died, everybody started taking all of his songs and making this song and that song and mixing all these different parts together, calling it this and that, and making their own genres of music based off this old French Louisiana style by this little black man named Amadé Jourdan. Now, the melodies, they come from a big, like the whole colonial mix of everyone coming together. Yes, this is what you hear. But that music don't sound like people from France. It doesn't sound like it's straight from Africa. It doesn't sound like it's straight from Canada, nothing. It happened right there. But it happened because of these mix of people. And these are French people. Then you have the Acadians, you have the Spanish and all that, and then you have the Native Americans, you have the African. The African was the biggest part that makes it Creole. That's where Creole comes from.